Thank you to Ubisoft for the early access copy to Assassin's Creed Shadows. I will also be giving away one PS5 copy. Make sure to leave a comment, subscribe, and like the video for a chance to win. Now on with the video. I've been playing Assassin's Creed since its inception on the PS3 and Xbox 360, and while I wasn't a fan of the first game due to its repetitive nature, Assassin's Creed 2 marked a turning point for the series. From there, it continued to evolve, refining its mechanics and storytelling. By the time we got to Valhalla, my biggest gripe was its bloated runtime. Its main campaign felt unnecessarily long, with stretches where not enough happened to keep me engaged. But with Assassin's Creed Shadows, Ubisoft has taken steps to refine the formula, introducing meaningful tweaks that enhance both gameplay and narrative. The story delivers satisfying character arcs, strong development, and a well-executed conclusion. On the gameplay front, Shadows impresses with deep skill trees, varied weaponry, and versatile playstyles that allow for dynamic combat and stealth approaches. Now, that's not to say it's without its drawbacks, more than I would have liked, in fact. But despite those issues, Shadows delivers some of the most breathtaking environments in the series, beautifully portraying Japan's lush landscapes and seasonal shifts. Combined with stellar sound design in a world brimming with wildlife, this is one of the most immersive settings Ubisoft has ever crafted. But let's jump into that story. Japan. 1579, the country is on a brutal path towards unification, driven by the iron will of the daimyo Oda Nobunaga. Unrest brews as coalitions form, and foreign influences corrupt the land. After the violent invasion of the peaceful Iga province, a young shinobi embarks on an impossible mission, while a legendary samurai must confront the demons of his past. At the heart of Assassin's Creed Shadows are two protagonists, Naoe, an adept shinobi assassin from Iga, and Yasuke, the powerful African samurai of historical legends. Their intertwined journeys unfold against the backdrop of the turbulent late Sengoku period, and through them we witness Japan at a crossroads. So Yasuke is a fascinating character, not just because of his historical significance, but because of how the game portrays his experience in Japan. As soon as you step into his shoes, you see how the locals react to him, their curiosity, skepticism, or outright hostility shaping his journey. His backstory is one of the best in the game, tracing his transformation from Diogo to Yasuke. Ubisoft smartly weaves in his past through flashbacks, showing us the hardships he endured, the mentors who shaped him, and how he became the warrior we see today. Yasuke also wrestles with the consequences of those he has followed, adding complexity to his character. Naoe, on the other hand, is a young shinobi forced to grow up fast. Her arc follows a coming-of-age trajectory as she evolves from a somewhat naive assassin to a hardened warrior with a better grasp of the world's brutal realities. When she and Yasuke cross paths, their dynamic feels like that of siblings, sometimes supportive, sometimes at odds, but always pushing each other forward. The story doesn't just script their relationship, it allows players to make tough decisions that test their bond. These choices carry real weight, often putting you in situations where no answer feels entirely right. Now, one of Shadow's biggest strengths is how it lets you approach the story from either Yasuke or Naoe's perspective. The branching choices create genuine moral dilemmas, and the game doesn't shy away from showing the repercussions. People will remember what you did, and those relationships will shift accordingly. It makes the world feel reactive rather than just a backdrop for the narrative. The game features two voiceover modes, a fully immersive mode where characters speak in their native language, and a standard English dub. If there's a right way to play Shadows, it's absolutely an immersive mode. Hearing the characters speak in Japanese enhances the world's authenticity, making every interaction feel more natural. It also helps sell the emotional weight of key moments, as the performances feel more genuine and nuanced. In contrast, the English dub feels phoned in, lacking the fire and passion needed, especially in the game's most impactful scenes. The delivery often falls flat, making certain moments feel underwhelming when they should have hit harder. It's clear the game was designed with immersive mode in mind, and playing it that way makes the world feel more alive. Now, that's not to say pre-rendered scenes aren't designed with English-speaking language with the lip syncing, because it is, which is kind of weird because they push this whole immersive mode thing. But despite that, the lip syncing is very, very good with the Japanese dub. My final thoughts on the story, though, it's got its shortcomings, but Assassin's Creed Shadows delivers a compelling narrative with well-developed protagonists, meaningful character arcs, and choices that genuinely impact the world. The story has a clear beginning, middle, and end, giving both Yasuke and Naoe satisfying conclusions to their journeys. If only the villains were as deep as the protagonists, and if the assassinations had a bit more variety, the narrative could have reached even greater heights. Without getting into spoilers, that's really all I can say about Assassin's Creed Shadows' story. I don't want to give away any big story plot points because it's just going to diminish the experience for you. And that's not what you come here for when you're watching a review. So definitely worthwhile, but there are some shortcomings. Moving on to the gameplay, you can expect the iconic Assassin's mechanics and refinements built over the years, especially those dating back to Assassin's Creed Origins. Naoe's agile, capable of climbing, dodging, and engaging enemies on a vertical playing field, whereas Yasuke is a firm, planted, brute force warrior who can charge through enemies with sheer strength. These two characters offer distinct advantages and disadvantages that contrast each other. I found it fun to switch between them, opting for Yasuke's impact when I wanted to bulldoze through enemies, or Naoe's agility for stealth and vertical traversal. Yasuke can wield a long katana, naginata, a spear-like weapon, kanabo, an oversized club, Teppo, a rifle-like firearm, and a bow. Each weapon has its own skill tree, allowing Yasuke to unlock new abilities, increase damage output, and master specific playstyles. Yasuke and Naoe can each equip 2 weapons, which can be switched at any time with a simple press of the right D-pad button. Controls are intuitive, R1 for light attacks, R2 for heavy attacks, both of which can be held to charge guard-breaking strikes. Dodging is mapped to the circle button while L1 parries attacks. Blue and white enemy attacks can be parried, whereas red attacks must be dodged. Special abilities are activated by holding R2 and pressing the assigned button. Additional mechanics include up on the D-pad for rations, down for whistling or holding it to call your mount, and left for Pathfinder, a feature that when it functions displays a guiding line to the next objective. Again, when it functions, which most of the time it does. Naoe brings the iconic hidden blade alongside a katana, kusarigama, tanto, and shinobi tools. She has 6 skill trees covering weapon classes, tools which unlock additional gadget functionality, shinobi and assassin abilities that enhance her stealthy approach. Her shinobi tools activated by holding L2 and selecting with the D-pad include kunai, ninja stars for ranged attacks, golden bells for distractions, smoke bombs for assassinations, or quick escapes. Now it also has exclusive access to eagle vision and a grappling hook, making traversal swift and fluid. Now let's talk about that stealth and exploration. A major change in AC Shadows is the removal of the traditional Eagle Companion. Instead, scouting is done through L2 scanning, which highlights items in gold for lootables and white for key objectives. Eagle Vision, activated with R3, reveals enemy silhouettes, allowing you to track them by holding L2 hovering over those silhouettes. For the first time in the series, the game introduces a prone mechanic. Holding square allows your character to lie flat for added stealth. The environment also plays a role in movement, with elements like tall grass and shadowed areas providing better concealment. Although when we talk about shadowed areas, you can still definitely be spotted if you're in front of an enemy just in a dark space. You really got to be in like the bushes or laying on the floor out of the way behind objects type of deal. AC Shadows also adopts an XP-based progression system where characters level up and gain stronger gear. Equipment can be further upgraded at the forge in the hideout. Unlike previous games, skill trees are tied to knowledge rank, which unlocks more abilities as you complete specific world tasks. Now, this system encourages exploration and engagement with side objectives rather than just traditional leveling, which is great. It tells you, hey, you want to get more access to your skills, you need to go explore this world that we've beautifully crafted. And I think that's a smart way of doing it. And the tasks are kind of fun in some cases, and they're varied enough that it's interesting and keeps you engaged. Moving on to the scout system. This is a new integral feature, and this allows players to send scouts to investigate specific locations for intel. This is essential for main quest progression to side quests and resource gathering. Players can acquire additional scouts by upgrading their hideout, with each scout costing 200 mon once you've depleted them after the beginning of a season. At the end of the season, all scouts return and the resources they collect are automatically cashed in. For those who prefer a more guided experience, though, the scout system can be disabled at the cost of trophies and missing out on intended gameplay depth. This game pretty much is built around the scouting system. If you remove that, you're really removing a bulk of the experience in terms of investigating areas and really showcasing the world and what it has to offer. But you can if that's what you want to do. Enemy AI scales with difficulty, meaning the higher the setting, the more intelligent their movement, combat tactics, and attack power become. While the hardest difficulty isn't exactly Souls-like, it does introduce a notable challenge with much smarter AI behavior. So for example, if you're playing on a higher difficulty, guess what? When you're on top of that roof, they're gonna look up. But if you're playing on easy, yeah, you could be on the roof, you can get away with anything. And once you go on the roof, they pretty much think you disappeared. So consider that when choosing your difficulty level. Movements in AC Shadows is tight, though I occasionally found my mount struggling in tighter spaces. Climbing, especially with now, it feels fantastic, possibly the closest we've been to AC Unity's parkour fluidity, though not quite at that level yet. One disappointment was the removal of automatic road following for mounts, making long travels feel a bit more manual. And honestly, why? Why did you remove that? It was one of those things I really enjoyed, and maybe because I'm reviewing the game, I would have had a greater appreciation for it, but yeah, I kind of wish they didn't take that out. You can also travel by mount or fast travel by unlocking hideouts, which costs 800 mon, and viewpoints are unlocked by climbing to their peaks, as we all know who have played Assassin's Creed from the inception till now. That is pretty much one of the things that has always stayed intact. That and jumping in hay bales. Another major new feature is the season system, where the world transitions between summer, spring, fall, and winter, and these seasonal shifts alter weather conditions and impact gameplay. For instance, snow slows down movement. This keeps the world dynamic and immersive while offering fresh environmental challenges. Also important to note that a new season gets rid of your wanted level, because this time around, when you're wanted for the entire season in specific areas. If you infiltrate a castle and the bells go off, you, playing whichever character you are, will be wanted for the rest of that season. It is absolutely annoying, so it's important that if you ever infiltrate some sort of areas, you either need to get rid of the people who are going to ring the bells or go sabotage the bells. Very important thing to keep in mind. But moving on to mission structure and objectives, instead of a traditional quest log, AC Shadows introduces an objectives tab, which organizes quests into branching trees, listing targets, allies, and known intel, along with their respective rewards. Missions follow a structured flow. You meet characters, gather intelligence, and investigate until you've compiled enough information to launch an assassination. The big targets, your primary objectives, are set-piece encounters where you can choose to go in stealthily as Naoe or smash through the front as Yasuke. Some missions require playing as one character specifically, adding variety to the experience. Now, as far as hideout customization and replayability goes, the hideout is this new thing. It's kind of like Valhalla's situation, where you had your home base that you could upgrade and do things with. But the hideout is a core hub where you can construct new buildings. There's a surprising level of customization here. You can rearrange building placements, change designs, and upgrade facilities like the forge to gain better equipment. Expanding the hideout also grants bonuses like additional scouts and increased XP gains. Replayability is also emphasized through major story decisions that impact narrative progression, character interactions, and even romance options. There's a lot going on with the gameplay, and specifically with this hideout, it's actually impressive how much they put in here. You can even get a dog for your hideout. Yes, you can get a pet for your hideout, and it is something that may have not been so necessary, but pretty damn awesome that it is there. Overall, AC Shadows builds on an already solid foundation. While introducing meaningful improvements, the removal of the Eagle Companion streamlines the experience, and the knowledge rank system ensures that progression is tied to exploration rather than just leveling up. The Scout systems adds a strategic layer, while the seasonal changes keeps the world fresh and engaging. While there are minor frustrations with mount movement and climbing precision in certain spots, the game's refinements, especially in stealth, traversal, and combat, make for a strong evolution of the franchise's gameplay mechanics. Now let's talk about the world. In Assassin's Creed Shadows, the world is not just a setting, it's an experience. The attention to detail in the environments makes you feel like you've stepped right into 1579 Japan, whatever that feels like. The landscapes are nothing short of stunning, and with the changing seasons, the game constantly reveals new layers of Japan's natural beauty. But it's not just about what you see, it's about what you hear. The music, especially during those pivotal story moments, is perfectly timed, elevating the emotional weight of every scene. The sound design is exceptional, from the subtle hum of insects to the rustling of leaves in the breeze, and even the distant Roll of Thunder. It all comes together to create an immersive atmosphere. The game's use of the DualSense controller also further enhances this, making every gust of wind, every raindrop, every rumble of thunder feel tangible. AC Shadows delivers a world and sound design that aren't just well done, they are masterful, drawing you deep into its world. The presentation is polished, immersive, and undeniably impressive. When it comes to the performance though, Assassin's Creed Shadows offers a solid experience, though not without its hiccups. In balance mode, you're looking at around 40 FPS with dynamic 4K, while quality mode locks in at a steady 30 FPS and somewhat, I think, a native 4K. I couldn't really tell. I'll let Digital Foundry handle that. Performance mode, however, gives you a smoother 60 FPS at dynamic 4K, which is the ideal way to play if you're after that buttery smooth experience. I tested the game on a PS5 Pro, and while the overall performance was solid, I did run into a few technical issues. The most noticeable issue was the major frame drop in the Hideout. No matter what mode I was in, it was simply unavoidable. Beyond that, I experienced one hard crash, multiple desynchronizations, including during cutscenes, believe it or not, an odd desync triggered by too many civilian casualties, of all things, while I casually ride my horse to the objective. This all happened, which just threw me off completely. There was also an unusual bug where my character froze in a blocking stance and refused to snap out of it until I took a hit, which, again, very annoying. Audio glitches weren't immune either, with object collision sounds cutting out until I reset the game. These problems were mostly concentrated in the final third of the game, which was particularly frustrating considering how far I'd come. On a positive note, there is a day one patch that's supposed to address many of these issues, so hopefully they'll be ironed out in the near future, but as it stands, these technical hiccups did dampen an otherwise fantastic experience. To wrap this up, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a strong entry in the series, offering a refreshing shift from its predecessors with meaningful innovations and refined mechanics. The dual protagonist approach provides a unique narrative in game's portrayal of 16th century Japan. Both in its environments and its deeply immersive sound design stand out as one of the franchise's most striking achievements. The gameplay, with its blend of stealth and brute force combat, encourages dynamic playstyles, and the season systems adds a welcome layer of variety to the experience. Despite some technical issues such as frame drops, desynchronizations, and occasional bugs, the core experience shines through. Assassin's Creed Shadows successfully balances innovation with the series' trademark elements, making it a worthy addition to the Assassin's Creed legacy. While not without its flaws, this title proves that Ubisoft is still capable of pushing the envelope when it comes to crafting compelling worlds and engaging narratives. If you're a longtime fan of the series, Shadows is definitely worth diving into. Just be prepared for a few bumps along the way. And if you've never played an Assassin's Creed game before, but you love open world action adventure games and maybe even some RPG mechanics in there as well, then this is a game you should definitely check out. A lot of content, many great stories to be told, and a lot of fun to be had.